In this series, I'm going to start with 3 Fire King structure decks at a budget of $25 a week to build a powerful, consistent, competitive, and most importantly, fun Yu-Gi-Oh deck. When the time is right, I'll take that deck to a regional, and then a YCS. The road won't be easy, but I know we can do it. Welcome to the Yu-Gi-Oh Budget Challenge. What's up, Ocean? You got Matt here, and welcome back to another episode of the Yu-Gi-Oh Budget Challenge. Last week, we started our adventure with 3 Fire King structure decks, and that's it. And we ended up doing pretty good. We went 3-1 at locals, finishing in 3rd place, which is pretty cool because we ended up getting a little bit of store credit for our troubles as well, which I will definitely take. But honestly, we can do a bit better. So we have $25 to spend today. What are we going to spend it on? But before we get to that, guys, do me a favor. If you're enjoying the Yu-Gi-Oh Budget Challenge, then make sure to smash the like button. If we hit 150 likes on the video, then I'll bring you episode 3 next week. Also, I want to thank you guys. We end up hitting 4,000 subscribers. That was our goal for the end of the year. So thank you guys so much. We have a new goal right now, and that's when we hit 5,000 subs. So guys, make sure to join us on our journey. Let's go ahead and jump on in. It is time for the Yu-Gi-Oh Budget Challenge. So we have $25 to upgrade our deck here, and we have quite a few decisions to make. The first of which is going to be, what route do we want to go with? And there's a lot of different options here, and I just want to say, we have the ability to use this $25 on either sealed product, which I might end up doing, or on singles. Now, I do feel like that is a pretty important aspect of the game here. People buy singles. You don't have to buy only sealed product to be able to have a good budget deck. So I felt like this was going to be the best option here to allow myself to use any kind of cards I want for the $25 budget that we had, plus whatever rolls over from previous weeks. Either way, the way I see it, there's 4 different options that we can go down. The first of which is going to be consistency. Cards like Pot of Prosperity, even the Nadir Servant package that help us see Ponix are really important. So I felt like looking at one of those as a target was going to be a really good option. The other one is going to be non-engine. Cards like Hand Traps and Board Breakers are also really good that allow us to handle the meta quite well, so I want to focus on those too. The other one is going to be Extra Deck. The reason why is because last week I used the Extra Deck one time. I'd like more of like some toolbox options to get out of some tough spots that are pretty challenging to get out of, but honestly, that may not be the best decision right now. And the last one's going to be the long run. If we focus on the long run by just saving up for cards like the Sinful Spoils engine, we can be in a really good position once the release of Phantom Nightmare comes around, but we'd have to start saving like now. And for that reason, I don't know if that's the best option to go with. We're probably not going to go with that option, assuming that cards like Wanted stay as expensive as they are. But honestly, I'd love to hear which path you would go from here, so just let me know down in the comments. Anyways, so in my opinion, the best way to improve our deck right now is to focus on our non-engine. I want to fill these cards up, the questionable deck slots in our deck, for the best cards possible. And the best way to do that, in my opinion, is to add just good generic cards in the deck that can be used in any situation. I'll put a counter on the screen to keep track of our remaining budget, but I also want to ask you guys this. Last week, we finished 3rd place. We won $5 of store credit last week, and I'm thinking that I can keep this either as a separate thing where I can use it on a sealed product when I'm ready, or I can just add it to my weekly budget to spend. And I want you guys to input and let me know, what do you think I should do? Should I keep it separate and use it as a sealed product only, or should I use it as like weekly budget? I would love to know. Just let me know down in the comments what you think. I want this to be a challenge, but I don't want it to be impossible as well. So again, let me know. I'd love to hear. Anyways, the first card we're going to be looking at buying is going to be, I think, pretty standard. You guys know we're focusing on non-engine right now. I think the best card to pick up, the first card you should pick up if you're playing Fire King, you don't just have the structure decks and have nothing else, is 3 copies of Ash Blossom. I think this card is almost mandatory to play in Fire King. The reason why is not only is it a monster that you can destroy with something like Fire King Island, but it's also a great hand trap, and it's a fire. So you can destroy with Kieran to be able to then trigger your effects. When it's destroyed, you can then summon back something like Garunix. In general, it's just a fantastic option. I managed to pick up each of these copies of Ash Blossom, I should say, for $2.50. $7.50 total is not bad. I think it's a fantastic card and definitely the most important generic hand trap for us in the strategy. I also picked up for $1 each 3 copies, I should say, of DD Crow. Now, I was really debating picking up, instead of DD Crow, it was going to be Effect Dealer, but the reason why I decided to go with DD Crow instead is because I know my locals has a lot of tier and there's a lot of Unchained as well. And Effect Dealer is not as good against those decks as DD Crow is, and those decks just so happen to have a better matchup against Fire King than other decks do. So having access to DD Crow, I think, was a bit more important. So for that reason, DD Crow is our option. $1 a piece, $3 total, I think, is a pretty good bargain here for the Dual Devastator Ultras. Then our next set is going to be 3 copies of Pot of Prosperity. I really don't know if this card's going to be in the final build. I don't. But I felt like for right now, it's a really strong option because I was able to get them each for $3. So $12 for the playset is really nice. And I honestly don't think that the Ultra Pot of Prosperity is going to get any cheaper than this right now. $3 for them is great. Honestly, I find it weird because the supers were more expensive than the ultras, which is hilarious to think about. Anyways, either way. So Pot of Prosperity is great, but we actually will have a full extra deck to use, and even though we're not going to be possibly going into the extra deck every game, having access to Prosperity to actually get rid of cards that have things left over is going to be nice, because now if we were to go Pot of Prosperity for 6, and then for 6 again, and then for 3, we'll actually be able to do that, which makes sense. So I want to have that. We're also having our, I should say, I think I've told you, but $12 was our cost on the 3 Pot of Prosperities. So just these 9 cards, we've used about $22.50 already, and we have quite a long way to go. There's a lot of cards I want to pick up. I was wanting to pick up the Effect Bearers, like I said, but I don't think that's the right decision. I want to pick up cards that were going to be impactful, but also not too expensive, because I want to pick up these cards here. These are my big ones I want to grab. So I decided to get my 10th main deck card. That's going to be for a quarter I spent on a copy of Call by the Grave. Now, Call by is a very important card in the strategy, because our deck really doesn't appreciate getting ashed on Fire King Island. We hate having DD Crow on our Barong or our Ponix while we're in the graveyard. Losing our copies of Garunix is also really unfortunate, so I really felt like that was the best option to go with. So Call by the Grave is being added into the collection, I should say, for a quarter. And then the last 3 cards are all going to be extra deck cards. I spent $1.50 total on these 3, and that's going to be 1 copy of Almirage, 1 Sunlight Wolf, and 1 Heat Soul. So what is my reasoning for these cards here? Well, Almirage may not be in the list at the very end, but I felt like for right now, it actually makes a lot of sense, because number 1, it is so inexpensive. On top of that, it is a Cybers, and so is Sunlight Wolf, meaning I can link those 2 into a copy of Deco Tucker Heat Soul, which will allow me to draw 2 cards, 1 on my turn, 1 on my opponent's turn, and then be able to just potentially get more hand traps and interruptions, which is really important. On top of that, Sunlight Wolf, if I go Sunlight Wolf, then go to Almirage, then I'll be in a position where I can actually get a fire back from the graveyard, which is going to allow us to extend our plays quite a bit further and give us additional protection on our opponent's turn, especially if we manage to send Ash Blossom a different turn before or destroy that. We can get that back, which will be nice as well. Anyways, like I said, a ton of different utility. So this is a really good option here as well. I feel like these are great because they also max our extra deck at 15 cards, even though the majority of the cards in there won't be used, but I felt like this was a really solid option here as well. So 10 cards in our main deck, we have to make an adjustment to. The extra deck is super easy, so let's go ahead and make some changes to our main deck and see what we can do. I have an idea of what I want to go with, so let's go ahead and make those changes right now. Okay, so we've made our changes, and of course in goes our Ash Blossoms, our Pot of Prosperities, our DD Crows, etc. And out comes our 2 copies of the Fencing Fire Ferret. I felt like this card performed well last week, but it's just not a necessary card to have, so I didn't really want to have it right now. I felt like it was just better to have the Ash Blossoms in there. We are also taking out our copy of the Fire King High Avatar Garunix. I don't think this is necessary anymore either. And with this coming out as well comes the Sacred Phoenix of Nephthys. Again, not really necessary right now. Having this in the deck was really just as an option to destroy cards, and now we have our non-engine. I feel better about it. Other than that, though, we are taking out some of our Beast Warriors. We're taking out 1 copy of Rang Bali to leave us with 1 in the deck, and we're taking out 1 copy of Barong as well. I feel like these cards, while they're good cards in the format and for the deck itself, I just don't think that it's as important for us to have 2 copies of each of these, so I want to just drop them down to 1. And then the card that I'm a little bit hesitant to take out is actually a Fire King Island. Now, the reason I'm taking this out is because with 3 Ponix, with 3 Sanctuary, that gives us essentially 8 ways to get to Island. 3 Ponix, 3 Sanctuary is 6, plus 2 Island is 8, and that kind of turns on our deck. I felt like that was enough to have. I didn't want to brick on too many ways to get to Island, so I felt like at this point I should just keep it as is. I was actually happy with the Skyburns in the deck, so I want to keep them at 2, and I was also really happy with the Circle in the deck, so I want to keep it at 1 as well. But you might be counting it's only 7 cards. The last 3 cards are actually coming out. Instead of the main deck, they're coming out of the side deck, and it's going to be the 3 copies of Chain Destruction. Now, the reason I'm taking out the Chain Destructions is because I don't feel like they're going to be as impactful, and I only sided in going first. So instead of having those in the side deck, I'm actually going to take out my Torrential Tributes from the main deck, and I'm going to put these into the side deck. The rest of the deck has not changed, so these cards are, these ones at the top are leaving the deck entirely. These ones here, these 3 Torrential Tributes are actually entering the side deck, and the rest of the cards I showed you earlier are going to the main deck. But either way, we have managed to build a pretty strong deck, I find, but I'm hoping that we do well. It's going to be a really interesting few games at Locals today because we now actually have good generic interruptions, so I'm hoping that we can do a bit better than we did last time. It's hard to say if we're going to have a better record this week than we did last week, considering we went 3-1 and finished in 3rd place. But, you know, with our upgrades, I'm actually feeling pretty good. We shouldn't have to have as many good draws to be able to just go off with our deck. So hopefully we can get the job done, and the non-engine can help carry us in games where we just have a pretty bad matchup. But it is Thursday, so I'm only expecting to have a quick 3-round locals, but hopefully we can get some good games. With that being said, let's do it. It's time for locals. Round 1, we're up against Unchained and a rematch from last week's finals, and we win the dice roll and opened up with 2 DD Crows and full combo. Also, let me know what you guys think about the new camera angle here. I think I like it a bit more, but I also want your input. I start by summoning Ponix and searching for Sanctuary to grab Island. I then use Island to destroy Kieran and add Arvada, and then trigger Kieran to summon out the Arvada and Garunix to summon out itself. Garunix destroys Barong in deck, and I could pass here, but I decide to use our new extra deck pieces to draw into additional cards. So I link Barong and Garunix into Sunlight Wolf and Ponix for Almirage, and add back Kieran off the effect of Sunlight Wolf. Then I go for Heat Soul, pay 1,000, and draw 1 card before passing turn. In his draw phase, I'll draw another card with Heat Soul, and in standby phase, I'll add rank value off the effect of Barong. He then uses Call By on the Ponix. It wasn't coming back to my hand this turn since it wasn't destroyed, so that was a misplay on his end. So with 6 cards in my hand, I'm feeling pretty good, but he prosperities into Fenrir, which is a little terrifying. He sets Escape and pops it with a Ruha to summon itself out, and a Shayama from his deck with the effect of Escape. Using Shayama, he destroys Aruha and the island, and I'll be honest, I don't know why I didn't actually use the effect of Sanctuary to protect itself. It's just been a long day, I guess, and it ends up biting me in the back. Anyways, Island will destroy my Heat Soul, and he summons out the Sharvara while I get back my Garunix because a fire was destroyed. He uses Fenrir attempting to banish as Chainlink 1, and as Chainlink 2, I use the effect to destroy it from hand, field, or deck, and as Chainlink 3, I use Kieran. The chain resolves and I destroy another Kieran in my deck off the effect of Garunix, using the effect to summon back my Garunix and then pop the Shayama to force him to use his Grave effect. I did this so I can use DD Crow in it and get rid of that material for good. But also at the same time, I have Rank Valley as Chainlink 2, which summons itself out. He normals Rakea and overlays Fenrir for Typhon, which I'm totally fine with. He goes to battle, attacks Sharvara into Rank Valley and Typhon into Kieran. During his end phase, he uses Rakea to destroy Sharvara, and then Sharvara sets Escape. I draw into Tenki, which is an amazing draw because it gets me access to Arvada for a monster negate, and I actually can't use Ponix this turn in my hand because it's still under the effects of Call By. I normal the Arvada and activate a second Sanctuary to get my second island out of the deck. I'll use the island to destroy Ponix and add another Garunix from my deck, which I then summon and destroy my last Kieran in deck. And this is where the biggest misplay happens. What I wanted to do is bring back Rank Valley, destroy the back row, and negate it with said Rank Valley. But for some unknown reason, I pick up Arvada in my graveyard thinking it's Rank Valley. And this is the turning point of the game because I would have been able to find lethal this turn. Anyways, because I didn't have the spell and trap in the gate, he's able to summon Sharvara off the Escape, and I attack his board as he brings out Abominable Unchained Soul off of Rakea, choosing not to use this effect. I crash into it with Arvada to get back my Barong so that in the next standby phase I can get a search. I pass turn, add Ponix back from grave, add Garunix with Barong, and things aren't looking good. He sets a card, attempts to use Shayama to pop it, but I chain Crow to Shayama to stop that from happening. We aren't out of it yet, but then he drops Talents, chains Chamber, and summons back Aruha while taking my Arvada. On resolution, I use Sanctuary to exceed into Garunix Eternity, and he negates the effect with Arvada, destroying Aruha. I should have just waited again, let him link into Yama and then do it, but it's too late now. He links into Yama, gets a search for Sarama, and sets another chamber. He then normal Sarama, uses the effect, targeting the Escape in grave, and I have to Crow the Escape before he gets more advantage. He links everything away into a copy of Underworld Goddess, and I need to have a pretty good draw to beat this. I normal summon Ponix, and I have a decision to make. Do I go Circle or do I go Skyburn? I end up going and grabbing Circle, which is a terrible decision because he can just negate it with Underworld Goddess. At this point, I'm just playing on tilt, but I get another chance off of Prosperity, finding Skyburn to destroy the Underworld Goddess and my Ponix. I use Garunix to summon itself from the grave, and he uses Yama to bring back the Goddess. I have one target only in my deck, and it's a Ponix, so I just scoop it up. We go to game 2 and there's only like 7 minutes left on the clock, and I decided to side out my Torrentials just to be safe and have an extra piece of interruption. Luckily, I open up Tenki and Ponix. I don't want to lose to Droll though, so I start by normal summoning Ponix, grabbing Sanctuary, and then Island. Then I Tenki for Arvada. At this point, I'm so confident he has an Ash Blossom, but he's saving it for the effect of Fire King Island, so I decide to Prosperity and end up finding a Call by the grave. But in my hand, I have an Ash Blossom and an Imperm, so if I Call by his Ash, then I essentially have one fewer card. I have to try and push through and force him to send turn back to me, but honestly, it's too late at this point. I add Call By, I go for Fire King Island, he ashes me, I Call By him, I add my copy of Garunix, use its effect to summon itself out, and he chains Dogwood. And just like that, we've gone from a game that was maybe winnable down the line to something that is not going to happen at all because time is about to be called. We end up taking a loss round 1-0-2. I really struggled this game. Like, I don't know why I was having such a hard time, but I guess you just can't play your best at all times. I'll do better next time, so let's just move on to round 2. Round 2, we're up against Super Heavy Samurai Centurion. I'm actually feeling really good because we have 12 different hand traps in our main deck right now. Anyways, he wins the dice roll and decides to go first, and I'm hoping just to open up with any of my 12 hand traps, and I open up with nothing. Now I'm hoping that my 6th card is going to be either Kieran or Skyburn exactly, or I'm screwed because he's going to Calamity Lock me. He starts off with Fenrir, which is just terrifying, and he goes into full Centurion combo, getting a draw with Legatia, and setting up for the Synchro on my turn with 3 other back row. My draw for turn is Droll, and that card is just so dead here. I normal Arvada with at least a hope of negating his Crimson Dragon I know is coming, but as I chain the Arvada, he infirms me, and how I wish I had Kieran or Skyburn right now. As he Calamity Locks me, I pass turn, thinking I have some plays if he destroys my Arvada. He gets another Legatia out, but can't draw or pop since I drolled him earlier, and in battle phase, he attacks Arvada, and I use the effect of Garunix to summon it itself, but he has the counter trap. This is so huge as I can't access Kieran now. I summon Ponix on resolution because a fire was destroyed, and he just banishes it with Fenrir and attacks for game. It's okay, game 2 will go first and we'll put up enough interruption to shut him down, and oh no, I open up with Ponix, Tanky, and 3 hand traps, and I have a decision to make. Do I play around Droll or do I play around Ashe? I decide to make the play thinking he has Droll and not Ashe in hand. Anyways, I normal Ponix to get the Sanctuary, and he has the Ashe. Oh my god, I'll get the Arvada off of Tanky at this point, but there's nothing I can really do. I should have picked up Rank Valley off the effect of Tanky anyways, but it's not going to matter too much. He starts off with a special summon of Fenrir, yeah, and this is only a 2 of in his build by the way, which just destroys my deck. But anyways, he activates the effect to search and I Droll him here, so hopefully I can survive, which honestly he misplayed by doing that, and it does technically give me a turn. I do end up surviving, but my draw for turn is an Imperm, so I summon Arvada, set Imperm, pass turn, and well, it's not going to make any difference because he is set up for Calamity on the next turn. I get the perfect top deck, it's Ponix, which I normal summon to search, but he Calamities me on resolution, and just like that, he wins the game. From there, honestly guys, I just dropped out of the tournament. We're 0-2 and we're just hoping to do better next week. Our updated overall records are on screen right now, 3-3 in matches and 6 wins and 7 losses overall. It's really not what I was expecting today. Alright, so pretty unfortunate the way the day ended up going at locals today. We only played the 2 rounds, and 0-2 drop is not how I was hoping this series would go. But it happens. Game 1, we misplayed pretty heavily. We're going to keep getting better with the deck as we go. The deck's going to keep getting better as well. And Game 2, or Round 2 I should say, against Centurion, when we open up with a going first hand when we're going second, and a going second hand when we're going first, it is what it is. It happens. But we have our entry today. Our entry is 2 packs of Valiant Smashers. So I'm hoping that we can end up doing well. Again, make sure to let me know, by the way, if you would like to see me take any winnings, any store credit from this series and just add it on to my budget, or if I should just have it as a separate tally and can use it for store credit on sealed product. Anyways, let's go ahead and take a look at what we have here. I don't believe there's going to be anything special in this pack, in these packs, I should say, because I'm trying to think. We pulled a Mental Plan, the Mental Tokadlika, the big boss monster from the Mental Archetype, and I'm not sure if a new box was opened up or not. If it was, great, but there was a Trudea that was pulled, and there was a, the Emblem of Oath as well, it was also pulled. So hopefully we got something nice here, possibly a QCR, but I doubt it. This is Valmonica, is that what it is? Yeah, this is Valmonica card. Okay, so we got Honest. This Valmonica card does nothing for us, Ground Collapse, but Gusu is actually not bad. I'll put that to the side. Not a terrible card, just to have access to a rank 4 that we can go into in a pinch, so we'll keep that around. What else do we have here? Hopefully we can get something nice. All right, advanced draw. This guy, nothing. Another Valmonica card. Yeah, sure. Oh, Dogwood. I mean, that is a card for time. Okay. You know what? Honestly, for 2 packs of Vanquish, of what is it called? Valiant Smashers, I'm actually not too mad about this. We ended up getting a time card, and we got a card for Goose. And you guys, look, if you guys saw Spooky Dogwood in the actual duel itself, then yeah, look, I'm happy that we have these. So it is what it is. But anyways, with that being said, we have 2 nice cards we pulled from the packs. Hopefully we can just keep building off with week number 3. But with that being said, let's go ahead and roll the outro. So one thing I noticed with today's locals was that we were having a really hard time playing through multiple different cards. And part of the reason for that is because a lot of the time we have to decide, do we want to play around by just normal summoning out something like our Arvada, or do we want to start by normal summoning out our copy of Ponix? It's a really tough call to make, so I feel like in next week's video, I actually have to make a decision. Do I want to go and add more non-engine, or do I think it's more important to get ways to special summon out something like Ponix? So that's going to do it for this week's episode of the Yu-Gi-Oh! Budget Challenge. Honestly, it's not how we wanted it to go, but we always have to start somewhere and try and do better every single week, and we're not going to play our best every single time. That's how it is. I have a pretty good idea of where I want to go with my next upgrades, and you guys may or may not like it. Anyways, I do want to say as well that right now I am recording episode 2 and episode 3 back to back, because at this point in time I am going to be away for a few weeks. I want to make sure I have content for you guys while I'm gone. So just forgive me, the prices may not be exact at the time of when the video is going to be going live. It's obviously pre-recorded, so just keep that in mind. Also, if you guys enjoyed the video, do me a favor, leave a like on the video. If the video hits 150 likes, then I'll make sure that episode 3 comes to you next week. Also, guys, of course, be sure to subscribe to the channel as well. We did crush our goal of 4,000 subscribers. Thank you guys so much for that. I really do appreciate it. But now we move on to our new goal. Our new goal is 5,000 subs. So, guys, if you can join us on our journey, that'd be absolutely amazing. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all next time.